Hey guys, I'm Tri-Tam and welcome back to the Storyline project for another tutorial today. So I thought I'd do a small tutorial about how to set up a multicam edit in CS6. Anything before CS6, I'm not sure if it's the same protocols, but CS6, CC, it should all be the same, except that CC has a bunch more features. So first we're going to look at what a multicam edit looks like, and this is what it looks like. This is a really simple one. It's a 2-camera edit. So I only have 2 cameras in my multicam setup here. I'm going to bring it up a bit more. There you go. Alright, so this here is our main camera, which is the one that's being used and outputted to the screen. This one here, these are our options. Right now we have 2, but you can have a bunch more. If you have 9 or less, you can use your numbers pad or your number keys to just decide which camera to use. If I click on 1, I'll use camera 1. If I click on 2, I'll use camera 2. You can also click on them individually, and that'll do the job. If we take a look at it here, you're going to see it play. Both screens are playing at the same time.
Chez moi là, bravo, alright. Il y a 2 salles. Compa, hip-hop. Excel, boom, Tifke, Platinum D, au compte bagay yo, et puis that's it. Alright. Faites vite.
Alright, so see how it switches seamlessly like that? You can actually do an edit like that. If you have if you have just these 2 angles, then it might not be as useful to use a multicam edit because it takes a bit of time to set up, and there are a few limitations in CS6 that come with a multicam edit, and I'll talk about that later. So I'm going to teach you guys how to sync it up just by eye, and just try to sync it up as well as good as possible. There are actually programs like Pluralize and other programs which are a lot more expensive. And I think they can do it. I think Final Cut Pro can also sync very easily, but then we're not using Final Cut Pro. But Pluralize is an automated audio sync system that is going to help you out if you need it. It's kind of expensive, but it's really worth it. It's going to save you a lot of time. I've done edits with 20 different shots, and Pluralize really saves my life. So definitely, if you need it, get it. If you heard, this is my friend Ralph here, and he's from a company called Bel Garçon. And we are here in Montreal, so definitely there's French and there's English too. So I'm doing tutorial in English, but this video is in French. That's why he's speaking in French, because we gotta go bilingual here. But anyways, this is what the multicam setup looks like, and we're gonna go and set that up right now. We have our 2 clips here. I'm gonna start from scratch. Man, I gotta learn to articulate. All right, we're gonna take our first shot. I'm gonna take number 1 here, and I'm gonna create a new sequence from that clip. So now we have a new sequence with just that clip, and obviously it doesn't start at the point that I want. But right now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and find a point in the audio where I can reliably sync to other clips. Now in here, if you look at the waveform, if you just click that expand here to expand your audio layer, and then you can look at your waveforms, and that's going to help you sync, because you can do it by eye, but you can also do it by ear. Usually that's what a slate is for. When you slate in, like the movie clapper, a lot of people call it that. It's actually a slate. That clap, that loud clap is what's going to help you sync with other clips if you have to do it manually. Now, not many people do it because they have automated systems, but I really prefer doing it manually if I have time, because I just feel proud. But if there's a lot, obviously don't kill yourself. Now in this situation here, I didn't use a clapper because what Ralph does, every time he starts a new shot, he's going to yell, or he's going to do a high-pitched yell, and that's going to help me out. I'm going to sync it according to that. But with anyone else, if there's no audio cue, you should probably add one, just clap or something, and that's going to help match those 2 shots, because those 2 shots are filmed at the same time, obviously, so the clap's going to register in both cameras, and That way we can sync both cameras up. You can't sync two cameras that were shot in different times. That's like, no, that's not the principle is not there. These two cameras here, they were set up at the same time and they were recording at the same time. This is the right here, this is the A7S, and this one here is the A7R. So now we have our first shot here, and I'm going to show you the high pitch right now. Alright, you can hear it. Now I'm going to look at my waveform. I keep saying waveform, but I don't think that's waveform. There you go. Waveform. Alright. We're going back. Alright, so look at the waveform here. We can see where the actual sound starts. Over here, it's all pretty much silent. And he's being recorded, most likely, here this is the lav audio. So he's being recorded with the lavalier mic that he has on his chest right here. So we set that up. That's the lavalier mic. Now here, I'm just going to go with my arrow keys and just click forward or backwards. No, alright. This backwards, this forwards. I'm going to click until I hear his first scream. Oh, here I hear it. It's very minimal, but that's when I start registering his scream. See, now it's starting, but here is where the sound starts up. So I'm going to add a marker here. That's going to be my marker that I'm going to use to sync up. Now looking at our second clip here, double click it. It's going to turn in our monitor here. I'm going to remove this thing because we're going to do it ourselves now. Here it starts out. And I want the part where we're screaming. Same thing. There he is. A bit out of focus. That's my fault because I was the only operator. So, alright. Same thing. Using the arrow keys. Here. That's when I'm using headphones here, so I could probably hear it better. But using the arrow keys, you can really fine tune that stuff and try to find the same point. And roughly, this is the same point. I'm going to drag everything here and just. You see how the marker is helping you just helping the clips just snap into place. Now they won't snap into place if you don't have the snap option activated, but I wonder why people wouldn't want it to be activated. To be honest, this is like extremely useful. But let's go back, and now what we're going to do is we're going to drag this out. So now we're using the entire clip. Alright, so now that that's dragged out to the maximum, this is what it looks like. And you can see here, I was only one operator. So over here, I cut this camera, and then I had to run to the other camera and cut it. So that's why there's like this one here is being dragged out even more. Because I started this camera, and then I ran to this camera and click on record on that camera. So that's just a little bit of information on how it was shot. This second audio here was shot with a boom mic, which you can probably see like the shadow here, which is what I'm going to correct that next time I shoot, but this is the shadow from the boom mic that's right above Ralph here. And with that, I'm recording backup audio. It's audio that I'm going to use to sync, obviously, which is what I just did, but it's also audio that I was going to use if the lav wasn't working. Because when he starts to move a lot, then I probably switch to the zoom because I want to hear him talk a lot clearer. Because if you move too much with the lav, you're going to get some muffled sounds, and that's not good. So first shot was shot with the zoom for audio, zoom H6, my bad. And the lav audio was shot on the recorded with the zoom H1, and then everything was brought together. So here we go. Everything is synced up manually, and usually you can just turn the one layer on and off. And let's go to a point here. Look, his hand is up and he's facing the other angle. So if we switch to that angle, his hand should be up and he should be facing us. Now if you look at this one, his hand is up here and he's facing the other side. You're looking here, that's exactly what he's doing. So I have a rough estimate that my sync is probably well done. If you want to have even more certainty, you can look at both waveforms here and just zoom in and you'll see they pretty much start at the same spot. So you're fine. Now we're going to go and set up our nest sequence. This is what is going to enable us to do a multicam edit. There we go. You're just going to select, sorry, I'm skipping explanations here. You're just going to select, drag select everything, and then right click and go for nest. Now you're going to nest your sequence, and don't worry, it's normal that the audio isn't in the nested sequence. I actually prefer it that way because then you can control which audio is on. But for now, we're just going to be focusing on the lav audio. So I'm going to turn this down here. My bad, had to cough. Okay. Now that we have our nested sequence, there's not really much to it. It's just a sequence inside a sequence. If you double click on that sequence, it opens up the nested sequence, and you just can oh man, I can't speak. And you can just see the same files. Now those audio files here aren't going to matter that much because when you're looking at this one, the nested sequence doesn't have any audio strip. It just has the video strip, and then you have our separate audio files here. Well, these are actually just the audio from our video files, but they've stayed there, and when we nested our sequence, we just had other audio files. Now you can actually keep those, you can actually delete those, but I just keep them just for the heck of it, and they stay there and don't do anything really relevant. Now that we have our sequence, we can't really change between camera 1 or camera 2 because we don't have anything enabled yet. Now we're going to right click here, and you are going to go for multi-camera. This is going to be a new option that wasn't there when you didn't have a nested sequence. If you look at this sequence here and go for your multi-camera, it's not enabled. It's not an option that's usable because it's not a nested sequence. So that's why we nested this sequence, because we want to have that enabled. So here we go here. Right click multi-camera, and we're going to enable multicam. And now we have this little MC1, which is multi-camera number 1, and this is multi-camera number 1. Now we're going to go to our window here, and you should go and look at Multicam Monitor. This is what we're going to need to select what camera we want. Now somebody's vacuuming in the other room, so you might be hearing that. I'm sorry, I can't stop it. I don't have control over my environment, but we can still do this, right? So looking at the multicam monitor here, you can pretty much choose camera 1 or camera 2. This is camera 1 and this is camera 2. And this is pretty much how you set up your multi-camera editor. From here, there are 2 ways you can start editing. You can just play through over here, and when you want to cut, just go for a simple split tool, and then select the camera that the clip that's next to it, and then choose a second camera. So now this is just a manual way. It's a bit slower, but many people actually like to do it slow like this. I usually don't have time to do that much stuff, and I do a bit of something else here. So let's go back, and there's another way to do it. You can actually do it live. Now I told you about the number keys, and that's what we're going to use. We're going to use 1, and this is 2. So if we have this selected here first, this is 1, this is 2. So by clicking on 1, I can change to 1. Clicking on 2, I can change to 2. Now I'm going to place it on camera 1 for now. And this is a special button here. It's a record button, and this is going to record every single switch that you do. So as soon as you push play on this multi-camera monitor, it's going to start recording everything, and you're going to be able to switch from camera 1 to camera 2 in kind of a live situation. So you just listen to this. Here you go. That's me, sorry. All right. Here I clicked on camera 2 to switch.
Ou comme bagay yo, et puis that's it. Rajustement aka le bel garçon. Bravo! Ce soir,
And here you can just
tonight
switch.
is the night. Compas Friday, la
Anyways,
relâche, je vous dis.
I just wanted to show you guys a few cuts that I got. And here, as soon as I click stop, the pause button here, everything that I've done is recorded. Now there's that first switch that I did, which is recorded, and this is kind of like the anarchy that I just wanted to show you guys, which is also recorded. That's a good way if you don't have time to do much, and if you have really sharp reflexes, you can switch really fast between those two and get it almost perfect, and then you don't have to correct anything. I usually just go by eye and go for a live multi-camera edit, and then once I'm done, I just go into my editor here and just drag some stuff just to make sure that everything's alright, because maybe I want this to drag on a bit more, so maybe let's take my tool here. My bad. Let's take my tool here and just drag that cut up because I want it to cut a bit later. Stuff like that. You can actually just change your cuts like that. So that's my way to do it. Just use the live multicam editor and then correct your small mistakes. Makes you feel like a pro because you're editing this stuff live, and yeah, that's pretty fun. Now let's talk about the limits that you get when you use a multicam editor. This is for CS6 though, because CC actually has a feature that's called flatten, and flattening your stuff is going to help you a lot, because then once you're done with your multicam, you can just select everything and flatten. So what that's going to do is it's going to revert your nested sequence to the original files, but it's going to keep every single cut. So then you're going to have the original files in the edit. The thing with CS6 is you don't have that feature. Well, back when CS6 was CS6, oh man, I can't speak. Back when CS6 was the highest version, the most recent version, there wasn't any flattened feature. That feature was introduced in CC. So here you're kind of stuck with the nested sequence. This is a bad thing because if you're going to send this edit as an EDL or an XML to another color grading application, which is what I usually do for some of my work, I send my stuff to DaVinci Resolve and I start grading over there, but I want to use that exact edit because I don't want to waste time editing takes that aren't in the shot. That are not in the edit. I can't speak today, guys. I'm so sorry. Well, EDL and XML do not actually read the nested sequence, so you're going to have some problems with that. If you're planning on sending it out as an XML or an EDL, do not use the multicam editor unless you're in CC, because CC has that flatten feature. Other than that, let's look at the audio, because I want to show you guys a bit of what I do once I'm done. I usually do this before the edit even, just to be able to hear better. But we're going to normalize our audio here. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select both, because that's what we're going to do. And we're going to use a clip option and go for audio options here. This is audio gain. Now here we have a bunch of different little options that we can use. Right now the peak amplitude is 0, which means our volume itself is probably at 0 right now. But the adjust gain here is just the more general feature. Any kind of gain that you add here, it's only going to offset your files by that amount of gain. It's not going to do anything more. Now here, normalize max peak is, out of all the audio files that we've selected, is going to find the one with the maximum peak, and it's going to make sure that that peak is at a certain level of gain, and everything else will be corrected according, well, relative to that max peak. And then we have normalize all peaks. It's going to do the same thing, except it's going to look for a peak in every single file. So every single file is going to be offset differently from the other one depending on where that peak is. That's what I want, actually. I want the loudest of this one to be at -3 or -2.9, 2.8. And I want this one as well to be at -2.8. Why I'm choosing 2.8 is I'm looking over here, and this is 0. This is -6, -12, And usually we can go between, we record usually between -12 and -6 and don't go higher than that. But I like to push it a bit higher up to these dangerous levels here, but just making sure that it doesn't exceed it by that much so I don't get distortion or anything. So I want this one to be, the max peak of this file to be at -2.8, and subsequently I want this one, this file's peak to be at -2.8 as well. So that's why I'm using normalize all peaks. This is a good way to make sure that your audio files don't have levels that just kind of pop up and down from file to file. So that's how we do it. Here we go. This works for me most of the time. Now, right, if you start hearing this,
that's it.
Now, to me, this feels very flat, and it's been recorded in a raw audio codec, so it's very, very flat to its nature, by its nature. So here what we're going to do is we're going to compress this file, and what this is going to do is, if you want to look at it like that, it's like contrast for your audio. Right now, there's a very smooth gradient from your high level gains to your low level gains. What this is doing is it's making your sound very flat, just like an image without contrast would look very flat. This is kind of where the concept of compression comes in. So here we go. We're gonna go look at a dynamics volume effect, which is where is it? I can't find it. Oh, there it is. Dynamics audio effect, and we're gonna add it to the first one, which is the one that we're getting here. Now the dynamics effect does a bit more than the multiband compressor here, but it has a compressor feature, which is what I like. We're gonna look at our dynamics effect here and go for custom setup. Now here you see you have an auto gate, a soft clip, a compressor, then you have an expander and a limiter. I'm not going to talk about the audio gate or the expander or the soft clip. We're just going to use compressor and limiter. Limiter is exactly what it means. It's going to limit your sound to a certain level. This is once again my way of making sure there's no distortion, or at least trying to minimize as much distortion as possible. So here I'm just going to bring it back to okay, here we go. Bring it out to 2.6, minus 2.6, which is around here. So I don't want it to clip, but I just want it to be around that. And now let's just take a look at what the compressor has already done to our audio. And it feels a lot fuller now, but not that much. If we take it off, you're gonna see it's not by that much. See, it's not by that much. But now let's turn it back on and bring our ratio. The ratio is pretty much going to be the intensity of the compressor. So let's just bring that up to like 2.32, and this is all up to you. I'm using headphones right now, so I'm not really gauging it as well as I would if you were gauging it with speakers. If you have dedicated speakers, this is a lot better for you to make sure that everything's all right, because headphones actually headphones make you hear things that you might not hear coming out of speakers, because you're a lot more isolated with headphones. So sometimes you're kind of working and kind of introducing some things that you might not actually even hear in a speaker level output. Now the threshold here is pretty much when the compressor kicks in, and right now we're gonna bring it all the way down to 14 here, so it's gonna hit a lot sooner. Now it starts feeling a lot better, and I don't know why I'm getting this sound. Alright, seems to be okay. Now it starts feeling better, but if we look at our audio here, it's not going higher than 12, minus 12 dB. So we can use our makeup here and push that up. And this is just a gain for your compressor. Once you've compressed, you start pushing up the gain. You can't just push up your gain and then compress, because then you're gonna have very it's just like increasing your brightness and then trying to put contrast on an image. You're gonna have blown out highlights. This is exactly the same thing. You gotta put, if you have to bring your image up, do it after your contrast setting. So here it is.
Garçon, bravo! Ce soir, tonight is the night.
Now, if you're hearing a bit of artifacting, it means that your threshold is a bit too high, and maybe your ratio is a bit pushed too. I'm gonna leave my ratio to maybe 13, and this one to 1.97. And here I'm gonna bring that down too. Now, understandably, you can't infinitely compress your audio, so be careful with that, and just make sure that it's not a tool to fix audio. It's a tool to make it sound better, to enhance it. If your audio is flawed, then if it's noisy, if it's just badly recorded, then there's really nothing else you can do. There's really not much you can do. You can do a few things, but you can't just try and fix your audio. This is really for enhancing and nothing else. So here we go. Let's take a look at this.
Ou comme bagay yo, et puis that's it. Rajustement aka le bel garçon. Bravo! Ce soir, tonight is the night. Compa Friday, la relâche.
So there we go, guys. I don't think I have much else to show you here. You can do the same thing with the audio from the Zoom here, and you can just do your cuts. There's no multicam for audio, as far as I know. You could probably, I've tried including audio into multicams, and I've never really figured out how to do it. But pretty much, this is how you set up a multicam edit, how you edit a multicam editor in the multicam editor, and how you can just normalize your audio and compress it to make it sound fuller and higher quality. Alright, so that's pretty much it for this tutorial today. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for sharing and liking and leaving a comment if you feel you have other things that you want to learn. I really don't know much that I can teach until someone asks me to teach them something, and then I start jumping into it and I get really motivated. But other than that, hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.